Hey folks, this is Karen Trepti of Gaijin Works Coaching, your productivity coach. I am so super excited to introduce to you today Jenny Shih. Many of you probably already know her. She's a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous business coach with a heart of gold. And she's been referred by people like Marie Forleo, and is a big-time business coach. But when you talk to her, you'll know she's just like your best buddy. So anyway, without further ado, here is Jenny.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? And I know you've had a lot of projects going on. I've taken a couple of your courses and absolutely adored them. So please tell us what you've got on the burner these days.
Yeah, there is lots going on. I have got 3 main programs. Get your first 1,000 subscribers, which is we're talking like the final 12 hours of launching right now. Like everything's being checked and double checked and triple checked and all that.
Right.
And I've got Make It Work Online, which helps new business owners really get started getting money, making money in their online business, which is ready for its next enrollment in the next month. And then Make 10K, which helps business owners who are making some money get to that 10K a month, consistent, predictable income, really where they're making 6 figures a year. And we just had our virtual retreat last week, so we're just that groups are really getting engaged. So yeah, there's like a ton of momentum happening over here. It's quite a lot. Good, but a lot.
Fantastic. So we're talking to a few different groups, right? So we're going to break up this interview a little bit too, although Flo is kind of like my middle name, so we'll probably jump with it too.
Sounds good.
So for a brand new business owner or someone who's thinking about starting a business, can you give us a few tips, like what they should think about, Jenny?
Well, the main thing to get started with your business is knowing how you want to make money. A lot of people say, and it's fine, not everybody knows how they want to make money. That's sort of the phase they're in. But in order to make money, you have to know how you want to make money. Do you want to offer services? Do you want to sell products? Do you have an expertise you want to share with others or do for others? And really, you can't start to make money until you're really clear on how. That sounds really basic. But I see too many people being like, I'm starting my business. Like, what are you doing? I'm figuring it out. Well, then you don't really have a business yet. To delineate the difference between having a business and planning for a business.
Right. Really, really important. And there's so many different steps that it takes really to become a business owner, to be a business owner, to grow your business, as you say, to the 10K a month. There are just a lot of different steps that are involved. Since I'm a productivity coach, I'm going to ask you about productivity tips too, and I always love to keep it simple and in baby steps. So let's say for this audience of people who are just thinking about having their business or just starting, what are the first 3 things that you think that they should focus on?
They should focus on making sure, so like I said, know how they want to make money.
Right.
So get really clear. So that's the first thing. That's like, you can't make money until you know how you're going to make money. So that I would put as step number 1. And then step number 2 would be focusing on how you want to then market yourself. So do you want to market yourself locally, using the chambers of commerce or networking groups, etc., or do you want to do that online? And do you want to reach out and connect with people virtually? So the next thing is, once you know what you want to do, you then want to know your avenue for marketing. And then I would say, once you know the avenue for marketing, drill down even further. So if you want to go in person, what networking events are you going to go to? Who are you going to talk to? How are you going to talk about your business? How are you going to get the word out? Or if you're going to do it online, how are you going to get the word out online? Who are you going to talk to? What kind of website do you want to have? Really get down to the super basic first level questions. Those, I would say, would be what's most important.
Fabulous, Jenny. I mean, this is really, folks, as you can see this right away, this is what makes her an awesome business coach, is she's talking about business. She's talking about money, like right out the gate.
Right.
Figure it out. You didn't hear her say anything about dream up your color scheme for your website,
No.
or
Yeah.
figure out your business name for your website. None of those things, really. So this is super valuable information. Okay, so let's just kind of go through the drill if we can. The next level up. So somebody's already started their business. They've figured out what they want to do. They've figured out who they're going to market to. They've started doing some marketing. So these would be folks that would be interested in your Get 1,000 Subscribers list program, right? Which is chock full of information, guys. So what are 3 tips that those people should be focused on doing then?
Well, as you know, Karen, in order to build an online business, you have to have an email list. And so once you know what avenues you're marketing online and what you're doing, so once you get past those first level questions that we just talked about, the next thing to do is to start building an email list. Because when you have an email list, you have a direct line of in with people who are interested in what you have to offer. They're interested in the topic that you teach about or the products that you sell or whatever it is that you do. And so having that email list allows you to build a relationship with them and eventually sell to them if they're the right person, you know, for the exact products that you sell. And so building that email list is really essential. And it doesn't have to be a really big deal. And the good news is you don't need to have a ridiculously large list. You just need to have a quality list. And I like to say 1,000 subscribers can get you to $100,000 a year in your business if you're selling one-on-one services. And it's not hard to get to 1,000. You can get there in just 6 months. I mean, I got there in 6 months. I know people who've gotten there faster and some take longer, but it's not this insurmountable task, but it is an essential one to really start to get moving in your business.
Yep. So, and for the folks who are already in that upper echelon, if you will, who are looking for your Make 10K a month program, what would be 3 steps that you'd advise to them to take action on?
Well, for them, actually sort of condense it into just 1 step. So that 1 step is a whole lot more complicated than like 1 simple step. But I say that once you're making 3 to 5K a month consistently, but can't quite get to the next level. So for these clients, it's about 10K a month. It's because they need a different strategy. And so the actions that take us from making no money to making a couple $1,000s a month are good, solid strategies. But a lot of times people, when they get to that 3 to 5K, they realize that the strategy that brought them from here to here will not be the same strategy that gets them from here to here. And the reason is usually around this point, they're maxed out. They're working all the hours they can work. They're working with as many clients as they can handle. And there's no more room. There's no more time in their day to just work for more clients. And most of my clients aren't interested in working 24 hours a day or 20 hours a day. That's not my style. And so a lot of my clients, that's not their style either. So they need a new strategy and they need a new way to think about their business. And that's really what we do in Make 10K. I teach them a new way to think about business from a very different, more strategic standpoint. When you're operating at this level, all you see is what you can see at that level. And so I teach them how to think about their business from this higher level place. And a lot of the things I teach them, they're not rocket science. They're not hard, but they don't know because they just haven't been there. And so our whole focus in sort of making that transition from making some money to making really good, consistent money is learning to think differently and having the right strategy for your business. And we spent a whole week. We had a week-long virtual retreat where we met every day and I taught them how to create the strategy. So I wish I could break it down into 3 simple steps, but I would be doing your viewers a disservice.
No, definitely. We're just going to catch the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. So one of the things that I love to do is I love to help people scale their businesses. So what would you say about when is the appropriate time to start doing that or to start thinking about that?
Well, I think it's always a question. So I think it's an ever-present question. It's not necessarily an ever-present action, but it's an ever-present question. So at the beginning, you start with your small offer and you start working with a few clients. you can ask yourself, how do I scale this? But it's certainly not the time to act on it. So at the beginning, you're trying to figure out how you serve your clients and how you do the work you do and how do you provide phenomenal results. You can start to ask yourself, how do I scale? But it's not a time to worry about scale. That beginning phase is the time to worry about providing phenomenal services for your clients and becoming really good at what you do. And once you do that, you then, make your services a little bit meatier and you provide clients with better results and longer results, and you do some phenomenal things with your clients. But then to get to that, then as you start to serve more and more clients, you can then ask yourself, okay, well, how do I serve even more people at this level? How do I scale even farther? And then you're going to scale and you're going to change how you work. But then again, the focus it pauses and you start to really the focus on scaling pauses and instead becomes, again, how do you serve your clients in a phenomenal way? And then, so I think it's a question we always can have in the back of our mind, but not always one to ask, because sometimes it's not the time to scale. It's the time to focus on really getting good at what we do. And then, so it's kind of a back and forth. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Total sense. So one of the things that I think personally can be really tough about being an entrepreneur is mindset. Can you talk to us a little bit about mindset, please, Jenny?
I would love to. Could you break it down for me? What specifically around mindset, just because it is such a big topic?
Sure. So I think that there are a lot of things going on with mindset, but a lot of times, the way I like to think about my business when I'm getting discouraged is I keep reminding myself, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Mm-hmm. And then breaking down my action steps into something smaller, so that I can feel, I just happen to be a very methodical person. I know not everybody is, but I really like to say, okay, now this is my project. Now, how can I break that down into smaller steps? And so that I feel like even though maybe I don't get 100 clients that day, that I know I've done the work. So that type of thing, that's what I'm asking you about. When folks get discouraged, what should they do? What should they do?
That's great. So I think you figured out the Karen formula for how to get through discouragement. And I think it's a great example because you know what works for you. And so you've sort of figured out what happens when I get discouraged, what's going on with me, and what's my unique remedy to get through that. But what works for you isn't necessarily going to work for everybody else. And so I think you point out a really great point of you know what causes you to get discouraged and how to get out of it. And so I think each person needs to identify what sort of bad habits, like bad mental habits or emotional habits, like what kind of ruts do they get into? And then what's the strategy that's going to get them out of that particular rut? And for each person, it's going to be different. So for some people, that's going to be pausing and not taking action. But for other people, it's going to be actually just going and taking action even when they're afraid. For other people, it's going to be making a plan or breaking the plan down into small steps. But each person's strategy is going to be as unique as their own challenges. And so I think that's sort of the ticket, is finding the way that works for you. And you've done that really well for you, which is great.
Thank you, Jenny. So can we break for a little bit, and can you just kind of tell us a little bit about your evolution? I love you. I adore you. I know you as a person, but not everybody does. So tell us, maybe they think, okay, I'm interviewing this huge business coach, and she just kind of merrily went down that yellow brick road.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. So the story is really long, and I will, because I've been doing this for a while, and I started my business journey 7 years ago. So the story is long, but I will keep it as brief as possible.
Yeah. Well, tell us the story. We like stories.
Yeah. Okay. So I started back in 2007 before I had my business, when I realized that I didn't want to do what I was doing forever. So I went to school to become an engineer, and I hated engineering school, but I didn't know what else I wanted to do. So I got an engineering job, as one does when they have an engineering degree.
Right.
And as far as jobs go, as far as corporate America engineering jobs go, I had a really good one. I worked at a great company. I could wear jeans to work. Actually, where I worked in the type of manufacturing facility, you couldn't even wear makeup. So it was really like no big deal. Like it was great. It was low overhead. I didn't have to, anyway, it was great. I worked with good people. I got paid well. The hours were good. You know, it was a really good job, but I did not like being an engineer. And I kept thinking one day I'll just know. And so in 2007, I was like, actually, I think I'm not going to just know. Like, I'm not going to know what I want to do. I have to go in. I have to figure it out. And that really started my deeper journey into like self-help and figuring out what I wanted and learning about life coaches and career coaches and asking bigger questions and learning about different ways of doing career, like not just business. And, you know, twist and turn, books, career coaches, therapy, all sorts of stuff later. I thought, I know I'm going to become a life coach. I want to help people figure out what they want to do with their life. That would be amazing. That's what I'm going to do. So I took training. I took a couple different training programs and became a life coach. And I thought, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And I promptly quit my job. And this is kind of a big deal, you know, Karen, but the other people don't know. I'm a very methodical, calculated, planned person. And so as the primary breadwinner in our household, for me to quit my job to start a business that had made no money is like totally out of character for me. I kind of look back and I have no idea, like, what was I thinking? Like I was
How does that happen, Jenny?
Going on I don't know, like I was just fueled by hope, I guess, which is, anyway. So I quit my job and I was determined to make this business work. And it didn't start out so easily. Like it was rough. And I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to talk about what I did. I went to networking events and I hated it. And I had a website, but I didn't know how to blog or how to write about what I do. And there was a lot of struggle. And I was really stressed because the money went from great to none. Like, you know, I had mortgage to pay and dog food to buy. And anyway, so I started doing some work on the side for other coaches as a virtual assistant, just to bring some money in. And it was just coincidental. It wasn't like I sat down one day and said, I'm going to become a virtual assistant. It's like one day I was working with a coach and she said, gosh, I think I'm looking for I think I need a virtual assistant. And I said to her, like, the word just came out of my mouth. I will be a virtual assistant. She goes, you would? I said, yeah. And that was it. Like, that's how me becoming a virtual assistant started. And so I started working for her and she referred me to a bunch of other coaches. And I got some money coming in the door in addition to the coaching clients I did have. So I did have some coaching clients too. And I started to realize I actually liked being a virtual assistant more than I liked being a coach.
Wow.
So I hired another coach and I said, okay, I'm on to something with this virtual assistant thing. Like, help me figure out what this is. And we got on the track to, I love helping people accomplish things, get things done. You know, I like to take action. And I had all these project management skills and people management skills and delegation skills from my corporate days. And so I closed my life coaching business and I started from scratch again, almost 2 years later at JennyShih.com. So my other business was not JennyShih.com. And it was project management, virtual assistants, and coaching to make your ideas actually happen. So it wasn't business coaching, but people would say, I want to do this. And I would help them figure out the steps. And I would coach them through getting those steps done. And as soon as I launched my site, I could tell I was on the right track because there was this excitement that I had about my business. If people asked me about it, I wanted to talk about it. So I didn't want to talk about my career coaching business. I almost didn't want anybody to ask me. I needed clients, but I didn't want to talk about it. But when it came to my new business, I knew I was on track because I wanted to talk about it. And then I realized I need to learn about marketing because I don't know anything about marketing. And I was excited to learn about marketing. And so there was all this energy to do these things that were hard. And so that's how I knew, like, okay, this is right. And so I got more virtual assistant clients. I got more coaching clients. I was learning about marketing and I got on a roll really fast. And that's when really everything started to come together. I realized I had a knack for business and marketing. I just didn't know it. And for planning and for project management. And since then, so that was March 1st, 2011. And now we're into May of 2016. So those last 5 years, I mean, it wasn't like I jumped from a virtual assistant to a business coach. I did some systems coaching. I did some, very beginner business coaching. I taught people about list building. I built my own business and learned how to do it. And then I started teaching. I was like, oh, actually kind of know how to teach people to do this. And so I started really teaching people the Shih way to build a business. And so it's very much been an organic process. It wasn't like I quit my job and said, I'm going to be a business coach. Because I don't think that's how it works. We have to learn and do before we can teach. And so I just teach, as you know, I just teach what I know. So I'm very transparent with my clients. I said, there's 100 ways to build a business. I teach the Shih way. So this is what the Shih way is all about. And I will teach you my way. It's not the only way, but it is the way that I know how to help you get results. And so anyway, that's the shorter version of the Shih story.
That's fantastic, Jenny. I really, really appreciate you sharing that with our audience, because I think that a lot of people, and you're not the only big time coach I know out there who has changed their path.
Yeah.
So I think, well, action is so key, right? I mean, there's no way to know kind of where we're going to be 2 years down the line without taking that first step. Totally. I just really love that you shared that, because I want to encourage folks out there that might think, you know what, I'm not really so thrilled with the path that I've taken, to let them know that it's okay. It's beyond okay. It's really fabulous to know, okay, I'm gonna go in this direction.
Yeah.
And I know my own life has worked like that, kind of zigzagging along. But I think that sometimes people beat themselves up about, oh, gee, why didn't I know that? Come on, guys. There's no way to know that until you actually go through those steps, and then you can take that turn. Mm-hmm. Now, I see that our internet connection is going in and out, but hang in there, guys. I think it's okay.
Let me, no, I was going to see, sometimes we can get, I was thinking in my internet. No, we're good here. Sorry. Okay. I just wanted to double check. Sometimes it is, sometimes it can be. It's tricky like that sometimes, isn't it?
It is. So one of the things that I love talking about, and I've heard you talk about it too, is time management. So could you share just a few time management tips for our audience too, please?
Oh, sure. I would love to. So I'd say the main two things when it comes to time management. Okay, three. I'll give three things. One is know what hours you're willing to work and what hours you're not willing to. Mm-hmm. See so many people being willing to sacrifice sleep, or time with family, or fun, or anything, and they just work until the work is done. And I actually think that's a horrible idea, because not only we didn't create these businesses to work ourselves into the ground. We created these businesses to enable an amazing life. And if all you're doing is working, that defeats the whole freaking purpose. Like, it's just ridiculous. So we need to set those boundaries. The other reason we need to set those time boundaries is that I believe that work takes as much time as we allow it. I mean, not always, but for the most part. And so if you say you have an hour to get something done, but you have 4 hours in the afternoon to get it done, it'll take all 4 hours. But if you only had an hour to get it done, by golly, you're probably going to get it done in an hour. And so that's why when we put these really firm boundaries on our time, I think we're more productive. I think we are more energized and more inspired. And I think most of us do well with a little bit of pressure. So not impossible pressure, but a little bit of it gives us a little bit of an edge. So first thing is to put some boundaries on your work hours. Then the second part of that is knowing what your priorities are. There's a lot of people out there. There's a million things we could be doing to build our businesses. There is endless work that can be done to build our business. There is no end to the list of all of the things that we could be doing. But when we only allow ourselves a certain amount of time to get work done and to do things, then What that means is we have to start to choose really smartly. We have to really think about what things are going to create the biggest impact in our business and work on just those things. So first thing is time boundaries. The second thing is to really know your priorities. And then the third thing would be when you choose what to work on in any given moment, that you focus on it with intensity. And so that doesn't mean write a blog post and then feel like a little bit uncomfortable because it's hard and go like scour Facebook for 10 minutes. No, it means like sit down and do the work and get to work and get it done and then move on to the next thing. And I found for myself that when I'm really clear on my time boundaries, I commit to the most high priorities and I focus on getting them done. A lot of people will say to me, Jenny, you're so productive. I don't have any secrets other than these. Like, this is it. I just sit down, I do the smart work at the right time, and I hold myself accountable. End of story. Like, those are three things that anybody can do. I don't allow myself to goof off. And those, it's when you do the goofing off that the things seem to take so long. No, anyway, those would be my three tips.
Those are fantastic. And I think the other side of the coin too is that since you are setting, a lot of times my clients will come to me and say they don't even like a calendar. Well,
yeah. I don't care. Too bad. I don't care. Yeah. I'd be like, yeah, I don't care. Sorry. Doesn't matter. I have no sympathy for that. I'm really, so do you want to be a business owner or do you want to be like a free spirited trust fund baby? Because I don't know how to get you a trust fund. So like that, I can't solve that problem for you, but I can teach you how to have a successful business. Sorry, I interrupted you, but I just.
No, that's fine. And I'm just so firm on having a calendar. And also educating them to know, look, you probably don't like a calendar because you think that it's restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
But it's totally counterintuitive.
Yeah.
And it's actually very freeing.
Right.
Like when all my stuff is happening and I know that those other hours are mine to do whatever I want with.
Yeah.
Or the next thing I'm going to ask you is kind of a lead into this. I structure my time even more and say, okay, this is my time for yoga, or this is my time for shopping, or whatever it is, get groceries. That's actually freeing. Having structure is actually freeing.
Yes.
And that's a message that I really love to communicate.
I agree with you for sure.
Okay. So one of the things that I said it was a lead-in for is self-care. And I love that you said, because that you said we need to sleep. It's so easy. And I'm guilty, but it's so easy to just kind of get in this, this kind of mad woman zone, if you want to call it that, of just so focused. And I can focus, so I'm grateful for that. But to get so hyper-focused, then everything else kind of goes away. And on my webinar today, I was talking about how if we don't take care of the important things, which one of the things that's important is to take care of us, then it goes into that Stephen Covey quadrant of urgent. Suddenly, it's urgent because you haven't, if you haven't kissed or spoken to your husband in the last 6 months, it's probably going to take a toll on your marriage. So
yeah. Well, and I think that's a lot of the reason why people get really sick. So, it's not always the case, but I think I see people I know, friends in my own life who work really, really hard until they get really, really sick. Like they get a knock you down cold with laryngitis and they're unable to get out of bed. And it's their body's way of saying, you didn't listen to me for the past couple months, and so I'm going to knock you on your ass so you don't have any other choice other than to take care of yourself right now. But imagine what would happen is if we just did a little bit of taking care of ourselves every day. I don't get sick. I also think I'm sort of blessed with a really good immune system in that regard, but also, I make sure that I don't get to that point of desperation. And then, like you said, it just doesn't, it then causes bigger problems when we ignore those kinds of things.
Right. So I think guilt is another big thing in the entrepreneur world. Like it's so easy. And I felt those feelings too, like guilty that I'm going to go to the gym or guilty that I'm doing this. But my rational mind tells me, no, that's ridiculous. It has to be done. We have to take care. So you've been very generous, speaking of generous, with your time. Can you please tell our audience where they can find you Where
yeah.
they
So the quickest place to find me is jennyshih.com. And as you know, I send weekly business tips to help, grow, streamline, systematize your business so you can love what you do. And I believe in creating success without sacrifice. So everything that we do at jennyshih.com is really to help people create more success, but without sacrificing what's really important to them, whether that's their health or their time or their family or their passions or whatever that might be. I want you to create success without sacrificing what matters most. So that's what we talk about.
Super, Jenny. So jennyshih.com. And is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we wrap this up?
No, you know me, I could talk for like days about all of these things, but I guess I just want to say, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking about, whatever business you want to create, it's possible. Like, it might not feel possible every day. It might not feel easy every day. Okay, hell, it might feel hard most days, but it's possible. Like, it is possible to create what you want, the business you want, to support the life that you want. And so even when you might not feel that way, whether that's just getting started or getting to the next level, there is a solution to your problem. There is a way to get through it. You might not see it, but if you stick with that determination and that commitment to get what you wanted, to get what you dream of, you will get there. That's the most important thing to know. You can make it happen.
That's a great place to end. I just was speaking to a young college student at the gym that I go to, and just kind of, my heart goes out to this guy, right? So just encouraging me. He's telling me things like, no, it's impossible to have my own business and get a part-time job while I'm going to school and have it not be bartending. I mean, that's when I kind of stepped in. I'm like, look, you're so much better than being a bartender. Like, there's always a way. I agree. Yeah. There's always a way.
Yes.
So we're signing off. I'm Karen Trepty, Gaijin Works Coaching, your productivity coach. And thank you so much, Jenny, for sharing this with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Karen.